What if I told you that the fountain of youth isn't a myth, it's a series of daily choices hardwired into your biology? That's not poetic, that's neuroscience. The aging process is often misunderstood. People think it's a slow, inevitable decline, a genetic fate sealed by your 50th birthday, but science tells a different story. You're not a prisoner of your age, you are in fact the architect of your vitality. I'm Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist and professor of neurobiology at Stanford University, and today I want to walk you through 6 golden habits, grounded in hard science, that will not just slow aging, but may actually reverse the biological clock in meaningful ways. These are not hacks. These are protocols, and they work. The human body is deeply influenced by light, specifically the kind of light we experience during the early hours of the day. After the age of 50, when biological processes begin to slow and recovery mechanisms become less efficient, aligning with natural rhythms becomes even more critical. One of the most powerful tools to support youthful function is something incredibly simple yet often overlooked: morning sunlight. Exposure to natural light soon after waking up plays a central role in maintaining circadian rhythm, boosting energy, and preserving mental clarity. Hormonal balance and physical vitality. This is not just a wellness tip, it's grounded in neuroscience and biology. When you step outside and allow sunlight to hit your eyes, specialized photoreceptors in the retina, particularly melanopsin-containing ganglion cells, send signals directly to the suprachiasmatic nucleus SCN in the hypothalamus. This structure is your body's master clock. It regulates nearly every other system in your body, including hormone release, body temperature, sleep, wake cycles, and cellular repair. By getting light into your eyes early in the day, you are essentially telling your brain the day has started, it's time to be alert, focused, and ready to perform. This initiates a healthy spike in cortisol, which is not the stress hormone we fear when it's chronically high, but rather a necessary signal in the morning that drives wakefulness. Motivation and energy production. It also sets a timer for the release of melatonin later that night, usually about 14 to 16 hours later, making your sleep more restful and predictable. In contrast, missing that early light exposure or substituting it with artificial indoor lighting confuses the brain. The SCN doesn't receive a strong enough signal to properly regulate the body's internal clock. This can lead to disrupted sleep, lower daytime energy, brain fog, and even weight gain and mood disturbances. These problems compound with age, especially as melatonin levels naturally decline. That makes the morning light signal even more important for older adults because it helps maintain optimal timing for sleep, hormone balance, and even immune response. One of the lesser known but remarkable effects of morning sunlight is its impact on dopamine production. Natural light triggers dopamine release in areas of the brain linked to pleasure, focus, and motivation. This becomes essential as dopamine levels tend to decrease with age, often contributing to the slowing down that many people feel after 50. By simply stepping outside for 10 to 15 minutes in the morning, you're activating circuits in your brain that directly affect mood, drive, and cognitive performance. On sunny days, this may only require about 5 to 10 minutes, but on cloudy days or during winter, 20 to 30 minutes may be necessary to get the same effect. The key is consistency. Even brief, regular exposure is more powerful than occasional long sessions. This morning practice also influences metabolism and body composition. Proper circadian alignment, anchored by light exposure, helps regulate insulin sensitivity, hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin, and fat storage mechanisms. When your internal clock is aligned, your body becomes more efficient at converting food into usable energy rather than storing it as fat. In other words, light affects how your body uses calories, something many people struggle with after midlife, and it's not just about fat metabolism. Immune function also responds to circadian regulation. A properly tuned internal clock ensures that immune cells are most active and efficient at the right times of day. This becomes particularly crucial as immune surveillance declines with age, increasing vulnerability to illness and slower recovery. Morning sunlight exposure helps keep these cycles synchronized, enhancing the body's natural defense systems. Another critical advantage is the reduction of inflammation. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is a major contributor to aging and age-related diseases. Studies show that circadian misalignment can elevate inflammatory markers, while proper light exposure can reduce them. In essence, stepping into the morning sun isn't just waking you up. It's dialing down the internal processes that age you faster. Morning sunlight is free, accessible, and profoundly effective. It aligns your biology with the natural world, triggering cascades of hormones, neurotransmitters, and cellular processes designed to keep you young, alert, and balanced. Especially after 50, when your system starts responding more sensitively to both good and bad inputs. Giving it the right signal at the right time can change the trajectory of your health. Morning sunlight is that signal. After the age of 50, one of the most powerful tools to stay biologically young is to preserve and build muscle mass. It's not just about strength or appearance. Muscle is directly tied to metabolism, hormone regulation, immune function, and even brain health. Unfortunately, sarcopenia, or age-related muscle loss, begins to accelerate in the 5th decade of life. But the good news is, your body still responds remarkably well to the right kind of training and nutrition, even better than most people realize. Resistance training, whether with weights, resistance bands, or your own body weight, activates what's known as mechanotransduction. This is the process by which your muscles convert physical force into biochemical signals that stimulate muscle protein synthesis. These signals are not just localized to the muscle tissue. They also travel throughout your system, affecting your bones, brain, heart, and hormones. When you stress your muscles in a deliberate and progressive way, your body responds by becoming stronger, more resilient, and more metabolically efficient. One of the biggest myths is that older adults shouldn't lift heavy or that it's too late to start. In fact, studies have shown that individuals in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s can build significant strength and muscle mass when following a consistent resistance training routine. This doesn't mean you need to lift like a bodybuilder or spend hours in the gym. 2 to 3 sessions per week of moderate intensity resistance training can lead to profound improvements in physical function, balance, and energy levels. Compound movements like squats, push-ups, rows, and deadlifts engage multiple muscle groups and provide the most efficient stimulus, maintaining overall strength and coordination. But resistance training alone is not enough. It has to be supported by adequate protein intake. As we age, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance begins to occur. Your body becomes less efficient at turning dietary protein into muscle. To overcome this, you need to not only maintain your protein intake, but increase the quality and timing of it. Most research suggests that older adults should aim for around 1.2 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, ideally split evenly across meals. High-quality protein sources like eggs, lean meat, fish, whey protein, and collagen contain all essential amino acids, especially leucine, which plays a critical role in activating muscle synthesis. The combination of resistance training and protein also creates a cascade of hormonal benefits. Testosterone, growth hormone, and insulin, like growth factor 1 IGF-1, all respond positively to strength training, even in older individuals. These hormones are crucial for maintaining lean mass, cognitive sharpness, libido, and overall vitality. Unlike endurance exercise, which can sometimes increase cortisol without boosting these anabolic hormones, resistance training encourages a more youthful hormonal profile. In addition to hormonal health, muscle plays a central role in glucose regulation. Skeletal muscle is the largest site for glucose disposal in the body, and having more muscle helps improve insulin sensitivity. This means you're less likely to experience blood sugar spikes, crashes, or develop type 2 diabetes, a major risk factor for accelerated aging. More muscle equals better metabolic flexibility, which is your body's ability to shift efficiently between burning carbs and fat depending on what's available. There's also a neurological benefit that's often overlooked. The act of training muscles involves neuromuscular coordination, engaging both the nervous system and the brain. Regular resistance training improves brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF, a molecule involved in neuroplasticity, learning, and mood regulation. In simpler terms, lifting weights keeps your brain young and sharp. Many people report better focus, improved memory, and elevated mood with consistent strength training. Lastly, maintaining strong muscles supports independence and quality of life. After 50, the risk of falls and fractures begins to climb due to loss of strength and balance. Resistance training directly counters this by improving muscle tone, posture, and bone density. When combined with sufficient protein, it creates a physiological environment that supports long-term vitality, mobility, and confidence. In essence, training your muscles and fueling them properly isn't just fitness, it's a longevity protocol. It signals your body to stay strong, capable, and biologically younger than your chronological age. Sleep is often the most underestimated factor in maintaining youth and vitality, especially after the age of 50. While people tend to focus on exercise and nutrition, the power of deep, consistent, high-quality sleep is unmatched when it comes to reversing biological wear and promoting cellular repair. It's not just about feeling rested, it's about what happens in your body and brain during those critical hours when you're unconscious. Sleep is not passive. It's an active biological state where the most rejuvenating processes take place, and understanding this can dramatically change how you age. During deep sleep, your brain initiates a series of processes that clean, repair, and reorganize its networks. One of the most remarkable mechanisms is the activation of the glymphatic system, which essentially washes the brain by flushing out toxic waste products, including beta, amyloid, and tau, proteins associated with neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. This system only works efficiently during deep, non-REM sleep. After 50, when cognitive decline and memory issues become more common, supporting this cleaning process through high-quality sleep becomes absolutely essential. Beyond brain detoxification, deep sleep triggered the release of growth hormone, which is a key player in tissue repair, fat metabolism, and muscle recovery. This hormone declines naturally with age, but it's still secreted in pulses during slow wave sleep. Without adequate deep sleep, these pulses are disrupted, and the body struggles to repair itself at the cellular level. That means slower healing, increased inflammation, and reduced capacity to build or maintain muscle, all of which accelerate the aging process. In this way, sleep acts almost like a master switch that controls the body's ability to regenerate. Sleep is also crucial for hormonal balance, especially as your endocrine system begins to shift after midlife. Melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle, naturally decreases with age, making it harder to fall and stay asleep. But melatonin isn't just for sleep, it's also a powerful antioxidant that protects your cells from oxidative stress. Poor sleep or inconsistent sleep patterns further reduce melatonin in production, leaving your body more vulnerable to cellular damage. In parallel, sleep deprivation leads to imbalances in cortisol, insulin, and leptin, which are hormones that regulate stress, blood sugar, and hunger. This leads to increased fat storage, higher blood pressure, insulin resistance, and poor energy regulation, all key components of accelerated aging. From a neurological standpoint, sleep is when your brain consolidates memories and stabilizes mood. After the age of 50, mood disorders like depression and anxiety become more prevalent, and they are often linked to poor sleep quality. During REM sleep, the brain processes emotional experiences and reinforces cognitive flexibility. If you're not cycling through sufficient REM and deep sleep stages, your ability to manage stress, maintain focus, and regulate emotion becomes impaired. This leads to a feedback loop where poor sleep degrades mood, and poor mood further disrupts sleep. One of the most overlooked aspects of sleep in older adults is how deeply it's tied to immune health. Deep sleep enhances the function of natural killer cells and cytokine production, both of which are essential for fighting off infections and managing inflammation. As immune function weakens with age, the need for consistent, undisturbed sleep becomes even more critical. Sleep is the time when your body performs internal surveillance, scanning for viruses, rogue cells, and inflammation. Disrupted or insufficient sleep weakens this system, making you more susceptible to illness and chronic disease. Maintaining high-quality sleep requires intentional behavior and an environment that supports your biology. That means cutting off caffeine by early afternoon, avoiding screens and blue light at least an hour before bed, keeping your room cool and dark, and going to sleep at the same time each night. Magnesium glycinate or threonate, as well as amino acids like glycine, can help support relaxation and deeper sleep, particularly when paired with a consistent nighttime routine. Light exposure during the morning also plays a role as it sets your internal clock for melatonin release later in the evening. Ultimately, sleep isn't just recovery, it's a daily reset of your entire biological system. It calibrates your brain, balances your hormones, detoxifies your body, and fine-tunes your metabolism. After 50, when these systems begin to show signs of slowing, sleep becomes the most powerful, drug-free anti-aging tool available. Prioritizing deep, restorative sleep is not just about getting through the day, it's about extending your youth, protecting your mind, and enhancing every aspect of your health. As we age, one of the most powerful yet underappreciated strategies to build resilience, enhance vitality, and slow biological aging is deliberate exposure to cold and the cultivation of strong social connections. These two elements may seem unrelated on the surface, but both activate deeply rooted survival systems in the brain and body that sharpen our physiology, balance our mood, and keep us mentally and physically young. After the age of 50, when systems begin to decline in speed and efficiency, leaning into these mechanisms becomes more valuable than ever. Cold exposure activates a physiological process known as hormesis, which refers to the idea that small amounts of stress, when applied in controlled and intentional ways, make the body stronger and more adaptive. When you expose your body to cold water, whether through a cold shower, an ice bath, or an outdoor plunge, your nervous system is immediately activated. Cold receptors in the skin send signals to the brain that increase the release of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter and hormone that heightens alertness, sharpens focus, and elevates mood. This release can increase baseline levels of norepinephrine by up to 200-300%, and this effect can last for hours after the exposure. Unlike stimulants or sugar that cause a short, unsustainable spike, cold-induced norepinephrine builds long-term stress tolerance and cognitive performance. In addition to mental clarity, cold exposure also impacts the body's inflammation response. Inflammation is one of the primary drivers of aging and age-related disease. Regular cold exposure has been shown to reduce pro-inflammatory cytokines and increase anti-inflammatory compounds, helping the body return to a balanced state more quickly after physical or emotional stress. This is particularly important for people over 50, as systemic inflammation tends to rise with age and is associated with everything from arthritis to cardiovascular disease and neurodegeneration. Cold also activates brown adipose tissue, or brown fat, which is different from the white fat that stores energy. Brown fat burns calories to generate heat, increasing metabolism and improving insulin sensitivity. As metabolic flexibility often declines after midlife, regularly stimulating brown fat through cold can help the body maintain healthy weight, regulate blood sugar, and support overall energy balance. Over time, this kind of metabolic stimulation can lead to greater endurance, better circulation, and improved cardiovascular resilience. However, physical Resilience alone is not enough. True longevity is also tied to emotional and neurological strength, and one of the strongest predictors of long-term health and happiness is meaningful human connection. After 50, people often experience more isolation, whether through retirement, children leaving home, or social circles shrinking. This isolation is not just emotionally difficult, it is biologically damaging. Social disconnection is linked to increased risk of mortality, cognitive decline, depression, and systemic inflammation. The human brain is wired for connection. When we engage in deep, face-to-face interactions, our brain releases oxytocin, sometimes referred to as the bonding hormone. Oxytocin has powerful anti-stress effects. It lowers cortisol, improves heart rate variability, enhances immune function, and reduces anxiety. These aren't just temporary mood boosts, they are measurable physiological responses that promote healing, regulate hormones, and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Simply spending time in the presence of people who make us feel seen and valued has the potential to restore balance in the nervous system in ways that no supplement or medication can replicate. Moreover, having a sense of purpose and contribution enhances dopamine and serotonin, inactivity in the brain, supporting motivation, learning, and emotional regulation. These neurochemicals are essential for maintaining cognitive function and resilience, especially during later stages of life. Being part of a community, mentoring others, or simply having regular conversations can buffer against the neurological decline that often accompanies aging. Social interaction also stimulates the prefrontal cortex, helping to preserve decision making, planning, and attention. Cognitive domains that tend to fade with age unless actively engaged. When combined, cold exposure and meaningful connection offer a synergistic path to resilience. One sharpens the nervous system from the outside in, the other heals the brain and body from the inside out. Both stimulate ancient biological pathways that were designed to keep us alive, adaptive, and thriving. In today's world, these systems are often dulled by comfort and isolation. Reintroducing them through regular, brief discomfort and intentional social bonding can reset our biology toward youth and vitality. Even as the years advance,